Hey, welcome to the last video of the series. If you haven't watched the previous ones, no worries, you can watch it in any order. This one, though, is my favorite topic ever. I hope you enjoy. And now let's talk about how culture affects it all. How culture will affect the way that you learn. Okay, here we have one of my favorite topics, the influence of culture in education. Have you ever thought about how culture affects behavior? Why you act in a certain way? So this is so interesting. It's actually a field of study in psychology, and it's called cultural psychology. Researchers investigate culture-specific patterns of behavior, focusing on values, beliefs, and attitudes that will distinguish the behavior of people with different national backgrounds. But what is culture? It can be defined as the set of values and practices that is shared among the group of people who possess a common identity. So, culture, your culture, will also affect the way that you learn, since it affects behavior in general. And the key idea that researchers classified is between individualism and collectivism, whether you have individualistic cultures and collectivistic cultures. So let's just start with Brazilians and the Brazilian culture. So in that culture, the collectivism is more prominent. So people in collectivistic cultures view themselves as more interdependent or connected to others. It's easier to connect, I would say. And the implications in education is that the students are more likely to do and enjoy group work. So it's easier for the teacher to just ask them to divide into groups. They would be more than happy to do that. And also, students tend to prefer a loose class as opposed to having a super structured time, as we usually have in the States. So they can have the opportunity to interact with peers and have more time to do work together. And of course, when you have students talking, they sometimes are not going to talk about class. So it can happen too. Um, but people would also have a stronger sense of belonging, feeling part of a group, feeling seen and valued, and students would act more informal. Remember when I talked about how students would call their teachers and call each other's by their first name instead of the last? So yeah, that's an informal way because they feel more connected to do so. All right, how about American culture? Americans are perceived as individualists, and a person exposed to this culture is more likely to value personal autonomy, freedom of expression, and self enhancement. So, the implications of that in education is that the independent work and self growth they are more present comparing to collectivistic cultures. And it's not that you prefer to do independent work. It's more that it's is more present compared to other cultures. And classes are planned with more structured time. So all the do nows, the instruction and the mastery checks that would make the class more structured is present and way more organized than classes in collectivistic cultures. And Americans are usually more formal to treat others, especially as I mentioned before, the way that you talk to your teachers. There's a lot of formality and that you can see as respect, but not quite. It's not that if you talk to your teachers and calling them by their first name, it would be disrespectful. Not at all. As I mentioned before, it's just different, and there is an implication that we can clearly see at school. yeah, so that was it. I hope you guys enjoyed learning a little bit more about other cultures. And I'm here if you have any other questions. And that's it. Thank you.